What's been the high point of your life to date, Roger?
High point? Oh. It's been, I mean, I'm not complaining. It's been a great life. It's all great.
But there's got to be...
One high point? I don't know.
Either personally or professionally, or...
I'd have to give that a lot of thought. It's all great to me. I mean, I had a really lucky. I mean, it's a great business to be in. I mean, I think I wouldn't change any of it. I wouldn't do any of it any different than I've done it so far.
What would you have been if you hadn't been
I don't know.
musician?
I don't know. I might have been probably a criminal. Well, most of my mates ended up that way, you know.
Really?
Yeah, from the kind of environment I came from. I think I could have very easily gone wrong. I mean, I think that period of your life when you're 16 till you're 19, I thank God for rock and roll. I was playing in pubs and I was getting all, my ego was getting satisfied through being in a rock band, you know. Whereas a lot of my friends were out robbing banks, you know. But they wanted the same thing. They wanted money and wanted birds, you know. And that's all I joined a rock band for in the beginning.
What exactly was a mod band? Did you relate to yourselves as being a mod band in the early days, or that was a tag which was put on you that...
I think we were playing music that most pop bands in England weren't playing. I mean, but we were copying Town and Motown. I mean, basically that's what we were doing. And then obviously when Townsend started writing, it developed into our own kind of music. But I mean, we were just a bunch of Teds, really. I mean, that's what's such a joke about it. I mean, a month before we were the Mods band, we were the biggest bunch of Teds you've ever seen in your life. It really is true.
Who have a reputation of being a really rowdy band on the road.
Yeah.
Is that a justified reputation?
I don't know, because I've never been on the road with any other bands. I don't know how rowdy they are. I mean, it's always the way. I mean, you finish playing at 11:30 at night. I mean, it does take 4 or 5 hours to come down. So, I mean, there are quite a few parties, and there are... But I don't think we're any rowdier than other bands. I mean, Keith used to be a bit rowdier than most people, but...
Yeah, television thrown out of 27th floor windows and...
Yeah, occasionally. Occasionally.
Can you remember where you were when you heard of Keith's death and how you felt at the time? You were at home?
Yeah. I was in... I was here in this room, I think. Pete phoned up and said, well, he's gone and done it. What are you talking about? And he said the silly suds succeeded. And that was it. Couldn't believe it. That was an hard one to live with, that was. Because Mooney was probably one of the most lovable people you could ever meet. Because he used to live like no other. I mean, he lived 1,000 lives in his 30 years, you know, he really did. And he used to, the things he used to do were ludicrous. I mean, he should have been killed 100 times before. It was amazing, absolutely amazing. I've never met another Moon, anyone near to what Moon was like. I mean, he was the funniest man I've ever met in my life. And he was tragic, he was spiteful, he was everything. He was the ultimate character.
How do you feel about interpreting Pete Townshend's music and lyrics? I mean, you know, they're not your lyrics, they're his feelings, his philosophies, yet you have to actually vocally interpret them. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I think there's enough air in I mean, I basically agree with most of his philosophies anyway. It really is an acting job. I mean, basically, it's voice acting. You find the character and get in there, and I sing it as more as an actor.
When did you first meet with Pete?
Well, he went to the same school, but he was a year younger than me, and I was in a band with John Entwistle, and the guitarist left. I was the lead guitarist, and that was in the days when it was unheard of to have just a bass guitar drum lineup, and it was in days when you always had a rhythm guitar, and John suggested Pete Townsend as rhythm guitar, and he rolled up, like his nose on a stick, you know, amazing looking cat. I mean, it was the weirdest looking band you've ever seen, and he was in from that day on. He didn't used to write then. I mean, this was really early on. He didn't start writing until 1964.
Really?
Really. And it all came in a great flood. And I mean, after seeing how much pain he has to put himself through to actually write, I'm sometimes glad that I'm not a writer, you know. He really does tear himself apart to get all that stuff out of him, you know. Writing the kind of songs that he writes doesn't come if you're too happy with everything, you know.
Yeah.
And I think he puts himself through quite an ordeal to get those really good songs.
What are your feelings when the first time that you hear the new songs, the new Who songs? Obviously, I guess when Pete plays you the demo tapes or whatever. Like the new like the new album.
I think, well, why the fuck does he need the Who? You know, you know, he's so good. And then you sit down and obviously when the Who do it, I think it is better than when Pete does it on his own. And don't mean that blasé. I mean, I think it is better. And then I really think about it. He needs the Who because the reason he writes those songs is because of the Who. But the new album that he's just written, he's written most of it. There's one John Entwistle song on there. I mean, it's just brilliant. The songs are just absolutely fantastic. And I was really pleased for his solo album being such a big success.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really, I think that's one of the best things that happened in 1980. He could have done really great solo albums yonks ago, you know, and I was really thrilled that he had a monster, you know. That's great. I'm really pleased about that. Really
When did you decide to start doing things, some solo things? 'Cause obviously not just movies, but you know, you've been doing some solo albums. When did that?
That started in, was it 1972? We weren't working much, we weren't touring, and I got really, not bored, but I felt like I was trapped within the Who. Not that I didn't enjoy it, but creatively trapped. And I'm not a writer, and I felt, well, it might be an idea to sing other people's material and just see what it feels like, you know, and get the experience of doing that. So I recorded an album of Leo Sayer songs, and it was reasonably successful, and I enjoyed myself. And I grew as a singer, and it alleviated the boredom. And that's really, I mean, that's all it was, really. I mean, a lot of people took it much more seriously than I ever did. I mean, to me, it was just gaining experience as a singer, because the Who's music is very, I mean, I love it, and it's the most important kind of music to me, but it's very narrow. It's one side of rock and roll, and rock and roll's got many sides, and I like to be able to at least have a go at doing a bit more, you know.
And how seriously do you take your acting?
Acting, very seriously. I'll make it one day. That's what I can say, really.
How important is it to you to make it as an actor?
You see, why I like acting is the problem with being just a rock singer. It doesn't totally fulfil me. I mean, it does when I'm doing it, when that's 2 hours a day if you're on tour, and if you're not touring, it's nothing. I don't like the garbage that goes with it. I don't like the stardom bit. I mean, I'm not interested in that at all. But when you're acting, especially if you've got a film part, I mean, it really does, it takes all of your time, 24 hours a day for the duration of the shoot, you know. And that, to me, does totally fulfil me. So I'm determined to make it because I want to work in that side of the industry. You know, I really like it.
What is the most important thing in your life?
My family. Even above the Who.
Who is
I think if ever there was a problem, and this is why I understood when Pete at the time didn't want to tour, for instance, because of his family. If ever there was a problem between the family coming between the Who, I would choose the family.
How many kids do you have?
Lots. Different wives and different but I love them all. I mean, I really got a great relationship with all of them. And that really is important to me.
Is it difficult maintaining those relationships when...
No, not at all. No. I work at it. I mean, and you have to work at it. I mean, when I go away, I'm away, and that's work. And when I come home, this is home, and I work at it just as hard as when I'm away working. You know? And it's great. Very lucky.
How do you relate to being rich? And how do you like it?
I love it. It's hard to. Sometimes it's hard to live with it. It really is. Forever questioning why have we got so much and other people have got nothing, you know. But up to now, I've come to no conclusions about how to just kind of solve that problem. Because if I gave everything I've got away, it wouldn't be that much to everybody in the world anyway. But it's great not having to worry about money. I mean, that's the freedom that it buys you is amazing.
Would you say that you are successful? Would you categorize yourself as successful? And how would you define?
In what way?
Okay, that's my second part question.
Yeah.
And the second part question was, how would you define success for yourself?
Oh, successful. Yeah, I suppose. I mean, financially we're successful. Materially we're successful. And I think spiritually we're successful now. I mean, we've had a rough couple of years in there, you know, but we hung in together. And we've grown up a lot. I feel pretty happy. I mean, there's a lot of things I'd love to change in the world, but I'm pretty happy.
Why do you think after 20 years people still love the band so?
Don't know. Lack of someone else coming along, I don't know. I think we've always delivered as a group. I think if anyone's ever paid money to see The Who, they've always got their money's worth. I think that's basically one of the basic reasons. And I think we've always... There's nothing very secret about the band. We all have arguments in public. We're very attainable. I mean, there aren't any armed guards on the gate, and we're very easy to get hold of, you know. Maybe that's another reason. I don't know.
Why do you
and obviously Townsend is one of the best songwriters ever. Yeah.
At the top of the show, I mentioned that the band had transcended mere popularity and had become really a legend. There aren't many bands, certainly the Beatles, the Stones, the Who. I mean, the list almost stops just about there. What is it that...
See, I can't ever figure the Who as being that. I mean, it's never... doesn't feel any bigger today than it did when we started, to me. So I can't ever get that in perspective, you know. It's really weird when people say that, because I don't feel that our career's halfway through, you know. It feels like we're our best... I mean, for me, we've just recorded our best album to date. I'm pleased that the band has continued under incredible strains, you know. I mean, when Mooney died, for instance, I mean, we should have really... The easy way would have been just to split. I mean, but we hung in there, and we've grown as people, and as the music's grown too. And that's what I'm pleased about, because I think that's the spiritual side of the Who, you know, and it's in good nick. In fact, as a rock and roll band, we're in probably better condition now than we have been for the last 10 years.